fact, and especially what do you call it, invertebrates. In that, when it comes to introduction of an animal kingdom, we are going to see as to what exactly is zoology, how is it important, a brief history of it, and what are the different branches in zoology, and how can you classify animals, and what are the principles for classifying the animals, and what exactly is systematics. So once you're done with this unit, you will be able to understand a little bit about the historical account of zoology and what are the methods, the purpose of study of zoology, and you will get an overall understanding of the classification, the naming or the nomenclature of the animals. So we get to see that it was millions of years ago that life had appeared on Earth. This is a known fact. So again, you get to see that from the ages, since the inception of the Earth, there is a lot of evolution that is happening. You can see that a lot of animals have become extinct. You do not find those animals anywhere on the face of this earth today. Most famous example are the dinosaurs, for that matter. They were there hundreds and millions of years ago. But today, you'll not find dinosaurs. But the evidence for the existence of that dinosaurs are the fossils for it. So in this manner itself, evolution has played a major role and in the form and the functioning of the animals. Today, if you find that the dinosaurs are going to be redundant, how will you expect a dinosaur to fit on our flyovers? It's not going to happen at all. Basic logic. So changes in form, functioning of the animals has come over gradually. We started out as unicellular organisms. Now we are all multicellular complex organisms. Excuse me 1 minute, please. So as I said, we've evolved from unicellular simple organisms to multicellular complex organisms. In between, countless animals. We only know dinosaurs, but apparently, there have been birds that have been extinct. There have been different kinds of sea creatures, such as the megalodon, then the mosasaurus, and then you have the birds like dodos, birds like the passenger pigeon, and then stellar sea cow. All of these were extinct animals that are not there, but there is evidence that they have been there. They have been existing. So during this period, countless animals appeared, perished, developed, evolved, and then changed into new, improved types so as to cope up and to fit with the ever-changing environmental conditions. So this is how homes for animals in different parts, such as the land or the soil, for that matter, soil or microorganisms, that is what it's there. And then you have freshwater creatures, sea creatures, and then you have even sky, that is the home for birds, for that matter. So variety of animals are present in different places and different parts. I request you all to mute yourselves. I request you all to mute yourselves, then you will be able to hear me. Am I audible now? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
But only request is please mute yourselves, then you'll be able to hear me a little more clear.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So zoos means animals, logos means study. Miss Reshma, please mute yourself. Thank you. So the science which deals with the study of animals is known as zoology. And the science of zoology covers the field of the animals, how the animals look, their forms, their functions, their development, their life cycles, how they have evolved, and how they have adapted themselves to the environment surrounding the animals. So when it comes to the historical account of zoology, since prehistoric times, they have there has been a relationship and there has been evidence that man has been interested in animals, be it woolly mammoth, be it any kind of other animals for that matter, for the sake of meat or food, clothing, and for survival. Man has always shown interest towards animals. Oldest of the old civilization are ancient civilization for that matter, then Babylon, Egypt, Greece. All these civilizations had, excuse me, some knowledge about animals. And when it comes to zoology as such, the Greeks were pioneers. I mean, they started, setting or started writing, about the zoology, different kinds of animals, and all of that put together. So scientists like Anaximander, Xenophanes, Empedocles, and Hippocrates, all of them had substantially contributed to the field of zoology as such. And Aristotle, let me share my screen with you. Just a second, please. Give me a minute. Right. So again, right. Now that you can see this. So this science has been derived from a Latin term which is known as scientia, and a branching of science is again social, abstract, and natural. Social science has sociology, civics, politics, etc. Abstract has mathematics in it. When it comes to natural sciences, you have physical and biological. And in physical, that is science of non-living things. You have physics, chemistry, geology, all of that comes under this particular stream. And biological streams, you have life sciences, or science of the living beings. You have botany, zoology, microbiology. Botany, zoology are the main core subjects in biological sciences. The auxiliary ones are the microbiology, biochemistry, biotechnology. All of these are, you're going to have a basic knowledge on botany and zoology, and then you are going to go further in depth and do the studying part basically. So again, the term biology was proposed by Lamarck and Tremarinus, and then biology has been derived from two Greek words, that is bios and logos. And father of biology, father of zoology is Aristotle. Again, when it comes to biology, you have botany, zoology, microbiology. In botany, botany is the study of plants. Father of botany is Theophrastus. And botany is otherwise known as phytology because study of plants. Phytos means plants. Phyton, plant. And when it comes to zoology, zoon means animals, logos means study. So you have to say it as study of animals. Again, the father of zoology is Aristotle. Just a second, I'm trying to get this down. Right. So the father of zoology is Aristotle. And just a second, please. I'm trying to get this down basically. If there's any possibility. Right. Perfect. Right. Is the screen visible to everyone right now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay. So again, when it comes to microbiology, study of microorganisms or microbes, which are not visible to the naked eye. And father of microbiology is Louis Pasteur. So Aristotle is called as the father of zoology. He had carried extensive work, a lot of work on plants, reproduction of animals, development of chick. He also wrote around 9 volumes on the structure of animals, the habits especially, and he's titled that book as Histoma Animalium. And let us just see. Yeah, so he's the father of biology, father of zoology, father of embryology. Theophrastus is the father of botany. And Romans again were, next to were other people who had made significant contribution towards the different aspects of zoology. And Greeks and Romans also were quite like like, in fact, if you see all the names right now, whatever scientific names are there, they're there in Greek or Latin language. Their origins are of that. And there was a period called Renaissance in Europe. So it was when a lot of science took place. And what is this now? Did somebody have access to whatever I'm giving? I'm showing? Okay. Right. So during Renaissance, lot of scientists such as William Harvey, then Robert Hooke, and Leeuwenhoek, and Linnaeus, Schleiden and Schwann, Bernard, Darwin. So William Harvey, like I said, he's the father of blood circulation. Carl Landsteiner is the father of blood groups. Charles Darwin, father of evolution. Edward Wallace, and then Morgan, Huxley, Halden, Croke, Hyman, quite a lot of people who are known for zoology. And when it comes to our very own country, in fact, Charaka, he is known as the father of Ayurveda. He had written a book called Charaka Samhita, and it's an amazing book if at all you get to, see or read it for that matter. And you should say that, we have Shushruta and Charaka and all these, like, they are such great surgeons and doctors. In fact, father of plastic surgery is from India. And cataract surgery, for one of the first known documented cataract surgery had been performed in India for that matter. So that is the greatness of Indian history also. In fact, the only difference is that we get to know more about the other in the evolution of a subject basically. But we should also at a certain point of time give importance to what our ancestors have come up with, in fact. Anyway, coming back to the lesson, there are different branches of zoology, and these include, let me just share that with you. These include, if you divide zoology into divisions and, subdivisions and major branches, they include morphology. Morpho means form, logos means to study. So it is the study of the external structures of the living organisms. If you take the Arctic fox, it's got small ears as compared to the normal or indigenous fox that you find, which has slightly longer ears. And if you see the African elephant and the Indian elephant, the morphology of the ears is different. The Indian elephant has smaller ears, whereas the African elephant has larger ears. So you're studying the external structure. Given example over here, like I quoted, is the ears. So that is the morphology, that is study of external structure of living organisms. Anatomy is the study of structure of the internal organs. What is the shape of a heart? What are the walls of a heart for that matter? And then, how many kidneys are there? And, what are the, what do you call it? Parts of a liver for that, liver. All this comes under anatomy. When it comes to physiology, physiology means it is the study of working mechanism. It is the mechanism of heart. How does it pump blood? So study of working mechanism of different parts of the body comes under physiology. And cytology, study of structure, function of cell. Histology, study of microscopic structure of the tissues. Cell biology, structure, function of the cells which are present within the, the cells make up the tissues, right? So that part. Taxonomy is studying the arrangement or the studying the classification, that is identification, classification, nomenclature of different organisms. And when it comes to ecology, ecology means study of the interrelationship between the living organisms and its environment. And you also have embryology, paleontology. I'll just come to that. I'm just going according to the order that is given in your textbook. So if it is not there right now, you please don't worry. You will just find it. Otherwise, also it is just the study of different what do you call it, branches of zoology. So you can just listen to me. So pathology is again a study of the nature, symptoms and causes of diseases. Developmental biology is a study of the growth, development of animal from the egg stage. Environmental biology is the study of relationship of the animals with their environment, that is similar to that of the ecology, in fact. Parasitology is the study of parasites. Genetics, study of transmission of characters from parent to offspring. Paleontology, study of the past life by means of fossils or animal remains. The fact that we know that dinosaurs are the biggest creatures that were found at a certain point of time is because of the fossils that we found. So then evolution is the study of origin of life, progression of appearance of different life forms, and how did the embryo evolve. Because at the embryo stage, the embryo of the fishes, reptiles, aves, mammals all look the same. But it is only during the evolution of the embryo that different kinds of structural or changes are taking place, given the different phylum and given the different class. And then osteology is the study of bones. Endocrinology, study of the ductless glands, endocrine system, the hormones basically, that those are the secretions of the endocrine glands or the ductless glands. Ethology is the study of animal behavior. Now certain what do you call it, and then you can see that over here it's mentioned you have ophthalmology, study of eyes, myology, study of muscles, study of cartilages is your chondrictology or chondrology, cardiology, study of functions and diseases of heart, basic ones. And angiology, study of blood vessels, lymph vessels, study of nose is rhinology, trichology is the study of hairs, hematology, study of blood vessels, and different kinds of blood cells, RBCs, WBCs, the lymphocytes. And then you have also calology, which is the study of human beauty, craniology, study of skulls, pedology, study of soil,
What is
limnology,
a
study
skull?
of water. Skull is where it encloses the brain. It is there inside, right? Inside.
Is no the skeleton skull.
Ma'am, you are on mute,
No,
ma'am.
I got it. I just unmuted. Right. So in addition to these, whatever you can see on the board, we also have certain other special branches of zoology. Okay. They include protozoology, wherein proto means first. Zoology means animal. So study of single-celled or unicellular animals, which are protozoans. So that is protozoology. Helminthology. If we have any group for zoology, please share the link. I basically don't have the group right now. You'll have to talk to your admin or whoever is the liaison with the college, in fact. So in case I know, I'll try to definitely share that link with you. All right. Right. So now you have protozoology, that is study of the single-celled animals. Then you have helminthology, study of the parasitic worms. Phytonematology. So helminths, all the family of helminths, all of them are parasites basically. So it they have given it a specific name itself, helminthology. Then you have phytonematology, which is phyton means plant, nema means thread. So you have plant nematodes. So those parasites again they have a parasitic existence. So they are parasites. The nematodes that are parasites on the plants, their specific study is known as phytonematology. And you have entomology, which is the study of insects, ichthyology, study of fishes, herpetology, study of amphibians, that is your frogs, toad, that family, and then reptiles, lizards, snakes, turtles, tortoises, all of this comes under reptiles, cold-blooded creatures, in fact. Ornithology is the study of birds, mammalogy is the study of mammals, and mama means again breast. So basically it refers to the fact that all the mammals or like what do you call it, feed their children. The mammalian mothers feed the feed the milk that is coming out of the breast to the children, and they give birth to the young ones. So that group of creatures are known as mammals. Apiculture, rearing breeding of honeybees. Sericulture, rearing breeding of silkworms. Then aquaculture, which is rearing breeding of fishes, prawns, oysters for commercial purposes, that is. Vermiculture, for the preparation of vermicompost for that matter. And so you have earthworms that are involved in this vermiculture. And then you have poultry, which is rearing breeding of fowls. Then you have the chicken for the basic reason, what do you call it, for for the purpose of meat, that is chicken, or for the purpose of the eggs, basically. So all these are the different branches of zoology. Now, when it comes, again, you can see over here, I just mentioned a few of the, what do you call it, studies of different branches of zoology. It includes enzymology, study of enzymes, zymology, fermentation, basically. So it includes even the bacteria that cause the fermentation. Serology is for study of blood serum specifically. Hematology is the main, subject wherein you study of the blood vessels, blood cells, different kinds and all. Serology is your blood can be separated into serum and plasma. So serology is the study of the blood serum, which is the straw color liquid that is obtained. And gynecology is the study of the female reproductive system. Andrology is the study of male reproductive system. Otology is study of ears. So you have your ENT specialists who are actually known as otorhinolaryngologists. Oto means ears, rhino means nose, laryngologist means throat, larynx, pharynx, all of these are situated in the throat. So otorhinolaryngology is the ear ENT specialist. Again, you have different kinds, immunology, splanchnology, etc. So this is, we have already seen. So when it comes to methods of study, you know that quite a number of animals are present, and in their original natural environments, you can't exactly go to the jungle to study about the lion. So how are you going to study about the lion for that matter? So one option is when they're in the zoos, you can just go start studying about them. And the second option is that, if not lion, what about the smaller creatures? You can get to see that you can either preserve them, or you can mount them on the slides, or when their dead bodies are present, you can just dry them and preserve the specimens. So when it comes to the preservation techniques, you can see that fishes, reptiles, all kinds of invertebrates, that's your worms, hookworm, pinworm, crabs, mollusks, starfishes, all of them for that matter, they can be preserved in a special organic chemical, that is formaldehyde, or alcohol for that matter. These two are preservatives. So fishes, reptiles, amphibians, invertebrates, all of them can be preserved by using formaldehyde or alcohol. And then you can mount them on slides. Microscopic animals such as amoeba, paramecium, euglena, bacteria, fungi, cells, you name it, you can just see them after you mount them on the slides, give them a dye, slash of that dye onto them, and then you can see, under a microscope. Then you can dry the insects or the mollusks or the birds or mammals, small ones like your badgers or wolves, foxes, etc. Then you can stuff them and you can actually see them as it is. This is known as taxidermy. So this is one method wherein you can actually see. So these preserved specimens actually help us in identification, to classify the animals, and then what their anatomy is. When you dissect them for that matter, you can slide, mount the slides and see their anatomy as well, and other purposes basically. So naturalists are present, they collect the specimens, they preserve, then publish the data, and then this contributes to the zoology part, obviously. In addition to that, you have several techniques in zoology. And today you should know that microscope and the uses of microscope has become a major part in identifying and classifying all the information that is related to our animal kingdom or whatever it is. A major contributing to or contribution to science is the microscope for that matter. You have different kinds of microscope again. You have your light microscope, you have your compound microscope, which is the basic microscope. Then you have the light microscope, you have the fluorescence microscope, confocal microscope, and the most advanced one, which is the electron microscope. You have different kinds of electron microscope again, the transmission electron microscope, the scanning electron microscope. You must have heard the names so far. So anyway, all this has actually helped us. How does a microscope help? For example, a microscope is used to see the smallest of the small cells that are present for that matter. So when you're seeing the small cells, you can identify the characters. So right from a cellular level, a microscope is actually helping for identification and classification purpose. And again, you have biochemical methods. So these help in identifying the tissue functions or the cellular functions, what are the enzymes that are present, and then what do you call it? All of this comes under the, especially in the composition of the cells. So you have a lot of biochemical techniques that can be used, and to find out the kind of carbohydrates that are present, the kind of proteins that are present, the kind of lipids that are present inside the the cells, and how does it differ from other species for that matter. So this is all about the biochemical methods. Then again, physiological methods to know the particular tissue function. And also, if you get to see in recent years, molecular biology techniques have become the best and the most efficient way to study the evolutionary relationships between the different animals of different phyla. And this has helped us a lot in the classification of the animal kingdom in the more accurate manner. For that matter, any molecular biology technique for that matter, DNA, what do you call it, gel electrophoresis or RT-PCR, you have it's become very famous right now, in fact, RT-PCR. So then what do you call it? Then you have other molecular biological techniques such as EDTA, using for and then you have Western blotting. Then so you have a lot of molecular biological techniques which are actually helpful today. Now, when it comes to the major aspects of classification of the different animal, like in the animal kingdom, you get to see that almost around 9 million species are there, of which only around 12 lakhs 50,000, or sorry, 1 crore to what do you call it, 2 lakhs 50,000 species have been identified. Again, most of them which are still there, we do not know, they have not been identified, they have not been discovered also so far. But this estimates is only an estimate. It is not exactly completely correct or accurate. It's an only approximate estimation that we have done so far. And again, of this, around 5% of these are chordates, that is the presence of a notochord along with a vertebral column or a backbone, and the are 5%. The rest of them are invertebrates. So you can divide animal kingdom into chordates or vertebrates and invertebrates. Invertebrates constitute of 95% of the animal kingdom, in fact. And if you see among the invertebrates also, arthropods, phylum arthropods, that's your crab, shrimp, insects, millipedes, centipedes, then spiders, scorpions, cockroaches, all of this, they come under the phylum Arthropoda. So they are there. They are the most abundant phylum in animal kingdom, and this is followed by the mollusks. Mollusks include the snails, include the cuttlefish, the squids, the octopuses. All of these come under the mollusk family. The snails, the what do you call it? Oysters. All of these come under the mollusks. So again, how do you classify these animals into different phyla, or how do you classify the animals? This is based on certain principles and by a set of rules that we are going to follow. So some 500 years ago. All this just started like, around very recently. But 500 to 600 or say 1,000 years ago, what happened is people used to just classify the animals on the basis of similarities. Now, after the evolution, what has happened is, once we came to know about taxonomy, we get to see that various branches of zoology have come up. So you have to classify based on the morphology, the embryology, the life history of that particular organism, how it behaves, the physiology of it. Again, see, for example, if you take a fish only, in Telugu it is known as chepa, right? And in English it is known as fish. Then in Hindi it is known as machi. And in what do you call it? What do you call it? In Bengali, maybe hilsa or machi, whatever you call it. And so, just in our Indian languages, the common fish is known by 4 different names. I go there, I ask for a fish. How will I know what kind of, if I'm going to get a fish or not? If I go and tell I want fish in, say, in the fish market in Telugu, I will not get it. So, how do you classify? And this is only there in our country as of now. Matlab, like if you go to some other country for that matter, or some other language, in Japan a fish means it's in a different language altogether. It has got a different name altogether. So if you see so many languages, so many, what we are talking about the same animal, which is same organism, that is a fish. So to stop this kind of a confusion, we have a binomial nomenclature wherein we talk about only a very common name which is known to everybody, the scientific name. So this is, again, we are going to classify the animals according to morphology, embryology, life history, behavior, physiology. After this, we are going to see, even with the help of genetics, molecular biology, the biochemistry or serology, and all of this, we are going to help classify a particular organism in a particular group. So in this comes your taxonomy. So there was a scientist called Simpson. He had told that taxonomy is the study of classification, including its basic principles and rules. So these principles were first proposed by a scientist known as A.P. de Candolle in the year 1813. It is quite recent actually, 1813, 1913, 2013. So around 200 years ago, not more than that. So it is only from the last 500 years we have been trying to, put all the animals and all the organisms as such in different groups and classifying them. Later on, these rules were adopted for the classification of animals also. This A.P. de Candolle, he was a scientist. He had used or proposed these rules for classifying the plants. But these same rules, we have finally taken them and started using them to classify the animals also. These include the identification, classification, and nomenclature. So classifying means it is grouping of the animals into sets, that is into different groups or a particular set on the basis of the relationship. And nomenclature means naming the animals. Am I audible to everyone, or are you not able to understand? Can you unmute and tell?
Yes, ma'am. Audible, ma'am.
You are
Audible?
audible. Yes, you are audible.
Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Right. So when it comes to nomenclature means naming. So, cool. Thank you. Naming. So you have to name the animal according to the each group. So it's like it's the application of a distinctive name to each of the groups recognized in the classification. So what is happening is you have to name, like I just told you, you have to have a particular name which everyone can understand. I will tell machi, you will tell chapa, then what do you call it? Bengali will tell jolpush. But we are talking about the same creature over here. But each one of us should be able to understand what we are talking. So nomenclature plays a very important role over here. Ms. Reshma, are you not able to hear me? Okay. So nomenclature, along with classifying the particular animal, that is classification, is known as systematics. Okay. So this has been defined as a scientific study of the kinds, the different diversity of the organisms, and the relationships that are present in amongst them. Now, when it comes to taxonomic hierarchy, now we know that we have animals as such, but how are they in a particular order when you're talking about it? We are all human beings, we know that. But from where is our origin from? To know that, that is where the taxonomic hierarchy comes into play. So all the groups of animals will be subdivided into smaller groups. So there was a scientist, Carolus Linnaeus. He was the first taxonomist who had recognized only 5 categories. There were class, order, genus, species, and varieties. But today we do not follow that anymore. We have a much better, much sophisticated, and a much clearer way to identify a particular organism and to identify, put them in the correct order, place. This includes kingdom. You can see when it comes to the, Homo sapiens. Kingdom is Animalia. Phylum, or you have something called a subkingdom also in the between. We'll come to that later. Subkingdom is Metazoa. Phylum is Chordata. It's given on your screen. I think you can see that. Phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Primates, family Hominidae, genus Homo, species Sapiens. So this is the kind of classification or the categories that are present when we are talking about the taxonomic hierarchy. So which is bigger? Species. A group of species form a genus. A group of genera together form a family. A group of families together form the order Primates. Group of orders form a class. Many classes together form a phylum. Then many phyla together form a kingdom. So in the kingdom, in the class or in the phylum Chordata itself, you have a lot of classes. So these include class Agnatha, class Aconthodi, or classes Placodermi, Chondrichthyes, Ostichthyes, class Reptilia, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, mammals, all of them come under the phylum Chordata. So these are the different classes. We'll come to it later. So this is how you have a different, taxonomic hierarchy, and all the animals apart from the common names. And they have given around 5 examples for you, how an animal is categorized into these divisions. So this can be applied to all the animals, as I had already told you. So you can see in your textbook, they have given the examples of man, dog, frog, and cockroach. So man belongs to order. See, the difference will come from the class onwards. Till the class, they're almost all same. From class, again, they change. Man and dog come under class Mammalia. Frog comes under Amphibia. Cockroach comes under Insecta. Again, phylum Arthropoda, which is actually an invertebrate. So cockroach is slightly different. Order is, again, you have different orders: primates, carnivores, anurans, and orthoptera. All of these are the different kinds of orders that is given. And the genus and the species names are different. For man, it is Homo sapiens. For dog, it is Canis familiaris. Frog is Rana tigrina. And cockroach is Periplaneta americana. All these animals have common names apart from their known scientific name, which is the same. Everywhere in the world, the scientific name is the same. The colloquial names are different. So this is the universal method in which or that has been described or developed and practiced by all the taxonomists. And each of the animal has a scientific name and this is used universally. And now we have to also know the definition of different terms that are given. What is a kingdom? What is a phylum? What is a class, order, family, genus, and species? So kingdom, it is the largest unit of classification. Initially, people thought there were only two kingdoms, that is plant kingdom and animal kingdom. But today, with the help of microscope and other tools, you know that there are other kingdoms also. And we follow the 5 kingdom classification, which is you divide the kingdoms into 5 different kingdoms, that is Animalia, which is largest in fact, Plantae, that is the plant kingdom, Fungi, Fungi has around 1 lakh species. Protists, which include the blue-green algae, the different kinds of flagellates, that they are the protists. And then you have the monarians, which are the blue-green algae or the cyanobacteria. So when it comes to phylum or division, it is the next most specific unit in classification. And if you see, this again divides the kingdom into divisions based on very specific characteristics. So in animal kingdom, major division is chordata because chordates are those which have the vertebral column and the notochord. And then the other division is the invertebrates. So these are the 2 divisions that are there. Phylum chordata and phylum protozoa, metazoa, subkingdom is parazoa, eumetazoa. We'll just come to this again. So the presence of notochord makes a lot of difference. So all those animals which have chordata or notochord are come under the phylum chordata. Okay. Now, are you all able to understand what I'm telling?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
So when it comes to the next, categorization, it is the class. It is the next stage of classification. Again, you classify based on certain basic features. So if you see class Mammalia, again, you can see that all these animals that come under class Mammalia or mammals are those animals which can breastfeed and which give birth to live young ones. This is the most important characterization of the class Mammalia. Thank you. Right. So this includes the human beings, the cows, the dolphins. Yes, dolphin is a mammal. And you get to see. And another class is the reptiles. Now, the basic characterization of reptiles is that they are cold-blooded and they have scales on their skins. So this includes, reptiles include, your lizards, your chameleons, and the alligators, the crocodiles, the turtles. So they have that scales on the skin and they are cold-blooded. That is poikilothermic. So poikilothermic or cold-blooded means that the temperature of the blood changes according to the temperature in which the animal is present. And after this class, you have order. Now, organisms of the same order, they are more similar than those in the same class. So a certain amount of similarity is wherein, your similar a group of species which are similar is put in a genus. Group of genera, similar ones are put in a family. Group of families make an order. Group of orders make a class. So if you see, than a class is more different than orders. You can see that the animals that are present in one order are more similar. So a lot of obvious evolutionary collections are there. So when you see the evolutionary aspect, you see that species are the most similar ones. After that, the genera. After that, the families which are same. Then the orders which are similar, not same at all, sorry, similar and as such. So one example, within the class of mammals itself, you have, as given in your textbook, you have this order called Carnivora. So carnivora are those animals which are all meat eating. Okay. While insect eating ones are known as insectivora. But they all are in one single class but different orders, or so that is one thing. And when it comes to the family, even more it is specific. In fact, animals that are there inside one particular family are more similar. So you will see that their behavior patterns will be same, their feeding habits will be same, the general functions as such will be same. For example, it is Felidae as given in your textbook. Felidae means the cat family. So they all have certain whiskers, they have sharp claws, and they are mostly carnivorous, or mostly like those which are like eating meat. So these include the lions, the tigers, your leopards, and then you have your what else belongs to the cat family? Your normal cats. They also like spam. They also like sardines, which is fish meat basically. So right from your normal cat that you find, domestic cat, right, that you find outside your house, to a lion, they all belong to the cat family, and you have similar certain striking features which are almost similar. The way they walk, the way they move, how nimble they are, and all that. Now, when it comes to the genus, you can
Ma'am,
see that this. Yes.
ma'am, whisker. What is whisker? We have whiskers.
Whiskers, matlab, what should I say? Cat, around the mouth, there are these hairs which are slightly longer.
Yes, ma'am.
So those are known as whiskers. Do you know Telugu
English, ma'am.
or Hindi? Hindi, I don't know basically. In Telugu, this is known as Julu, apparently. So that's what. Whiskers are those hairs which are slightly longer, and they are present right beneath the nose and above the mouth, or surrounding the mouth basically, and they are helpful in identifying dangers, identifying food, identifying different kinds of environment for the particular cat, for that matter. So especially when there is some kind of danger, or some kind of food that is available, or something which is not its comfortable environment, what happens is this whisker starts standing up like this.
Acts
So
like sensor, I think so.
Sorry?
Acts like sensor, I think so.
Yes,
Sensor.
absolutely. True, yes. They have a sensory function, in fact. So these are the whiskers. So you have sharp claws that are retractable. Yes, somebody raised your hand. Please unmute and tell if at all you have any doubt. Are your doubts cleared? Shall I
Yes,
continue?
yes.
All right then. Cool. So cool. So when it comes to species, when it comes to genus, so this is the first word in the binomial nomenclature. You have the genus and the species. So all the organisms that are within the genus look very similar to each other. And the term genus, plural is genera, like I already told you. It was coined by an English naturalist called John Ray. So he had coined the term genus. And when it comes to species, it is the most basic unit of classification in all plants, animals, and all of the, living or biological kingdom for that matter. And it is the most important category in the taxonomic hierarchy. It in fact defines all those that are there, creatures or organisms that are similar to each other. So when it comes to definition, there's been a lot of changes in the definition, and lots of words included, deleted according to time. So a simple definition is that they are a group of animals which always breed true, in the sense that is, they never reproduce individuals other than their own species. For example, simple understanding of this definition is that when a group of dogs breed, for that matter, you only get progeny as dogs, you will not get cats. So there is no possibility of interbreeding over here as such. So dogs give birth to dogs, human beings give birth to human beings only, cats give birth to cats only. So So species have also been defined by Mayer in 1942 as a population of interbreeding individuals which recognize each other as potential mates for the purpose of reproduction. Now, it is a dynamic group of organisms. They resemble each other in all the essential respects. They are again different from other groups, but they interbreed freely within the same species group and under natural circumstances or conditions to produce offspring. And to produce offspring, that is, and they are reproductively isolated from other groups. The simple meaning of it is the same. When human beings interbreed, you're going to get a human being only as a progeny. You're not going to get any other fish, dog, cat, or anything else. So they are reproductively isolated at the species level, that is, and they have a common gene pool. That is, the sum total of gene which is present in a species is known as a gene pool. So the genes of all the human beings are similar and they are common in nature. You take an African, you take an American or European or an Indian or Chinese, the gene pool is going to be common. You're going to be having a difference in the subspecies level, but not at the species level. And again, if you see the species are the gene pool of fishes, almost 99.9%, they're all going to be same. But only differences in the species and the subspecies, but they're all belonging to the fish family or the fish species only. So in a species, the gene pool is going to be common and they're reproductively isolated. So a shark will not go and interbreed with another whale for that matter. A shark is a fish, a whale is a mammal. So that is what we are trying to tell. They're different species altogether. A shark will not go and interbreed with a clownfish because the species of a shark is different. The specific name of a clownfish is different. So the main characteristics of animal species can be summed below. Exactly, lions and cats. They will not be interbreeding. But the thing is, they belong to the same family Felidae, but the species is different. So when it comes to the main characteristics of animal species, you can sum them as such. Each species has a common gene pool and there is a free gene flow in that gene pool itself. Each species has its own space in the ecological D-shape. Each species has, for example, lions, tigers, man, all of these are predators. They are at the top of the food chain. Producers are plants. And then you have the that's what. Then you have the herbivores. Then you have the carnivores. Then you have the primary, secondary, tertiary. So every species and every species has its own place. Every organism has its own place. So each species occupies an ecological niche. Each species has a mechanism which prevents exchange of genes with other species. However, it is possible for some species to breed with other species and produce offspring. The most common example that we know of is, crossbreeding of, I'm not exactly sure about the order, but, crossing a horse and a donkey. You get a hinny and
Mule.
mule, right? You're right. So that's how. So the species are different over there. So male horse, female donkey, I think you're getting a mule if I'm not wrong. So that's what. It is possible in certain cases only, but not always. And each species has a capacity to give rise to new species. That is also possible. Genetic mutations, they play quite an important role in that, for that matter. So you can learn about it later. Anyway, so when it comes to binomial nomenclature again, I think you have around 3 minutes. I'll just finish this. You have around 2 pages left. So when it comes to binomial nomenclature, again, Aristotle was one of the first few people. In fact, the father of biology, zoology. He was the first person to attempt to make an attempt so that a system of classification for animals came into existence. Since then, quite a lot of taxonomists, biologists have made quite a lot of contribution. So again, Linnaeus, before him, They were known by the common names in different languages, but Linnaeus assigned to every animal and plants a systematic position in the animal or the plant kingdom. And this has been done, and this you can see in his book, which is known as Systema Naturae. And this he used Latin words or Latinized words for each animal. So this is what we follow everywhere in the world today also. So the use of two Latin terms to describe every species is known as the binomial nomenclature. Of these, the first term indicates the genus, the second name denotes the species. So the name is also called as the scientific name or zoological name or the technical name of the animal. So for example, Homo sapiens, man. So he's given again man be the reason and all that basically, but Homo is the genus, sapiens is the species. Again, for orangutan, Homo troglodytes. So that is an orangutan. Man, the cave dweller. Simple definition. So orangutans, you today know that they are like, they're in the forest. Yes, there is a lot of similarity between all the animals. You have around 99.9% of the gene pool, which is actually similar. It is that 0.1% which is making us human beings and then the animals or plants for that matter. The organisms. So equus is the generic name of the horse and the similar category, horse family. But Equus caballus is the wild horse, Equus asinus is the ass, wild ass, and Equus zebra is the zebra. So you see a lot of difference. The species name differs. You can totally imagine how the animals are differing. Every known species of animals and plants has a scientific name. This name is always in Latin and is always double. The genus name must be a noun in the nominative singular. First name is always in the capital, such as amoeba, rana, homo, anything for that matter. The first name should start with a capital letter. Species names can be single or compound. Rana tigrina. Then, that's the example that they've given over here. The genus species are always written in italics. So you have a certain set of rules that can be followed. So when it comes to the outline or the classification of the systems, 5 more minutes and I'll just be done with the class.
I want. I want you to take.
I'll finish the class and give you, okay, na? So when it comes to classifying the animal kingdom, again, it was advocated by a scientist known as Hyman in the year 1940. So less than 100 years ago, in fact. So it can be divided into two major groups. One is or two major subkingdoms: kingdom Animalia, subkingdom Protozoa, and Metazoa. Basic difference is that in kingdom Animalia, protozoans are unicellular, metazoans are multicellular. In recent years, because of unique characteristics that have been come into consideration, protozoans right now is known as kingdom Protista. So when it comes to modern zoologists, we start with classification of the animal kingdom with metazoa or metazoans. Metazoa is again divided into two branches, that is parazoa and eumetazoa, which come under subkingdom at the subkingdom level. Animals in parazoa are multicellular but have a low level of body organization, and the tissues are not recognized or they are not developed into an organ level. So all the tissues that are present, you do not have differentiation of organ system or organ level differentiation in the parazoans. So this includes the family of sponges or porifera. Sponges are those animals that are there in the phylum Porifera, and they're the typical examples for parazoans. Whereas when it comes to eumetazoans, you get to see that they're further divided into different groups, such as the grade Radiata or Diploblastica and Bilateria or Triploblastica. Now, these animals are radially symmetrical, have two layers in their body wall that include the grade Radiata, and their body wall is divided into ectoderm and endoderm. Whereas, so this again includes phylum Coelenterata, like Hydra and that family as such. And then whereas animals that have bilateral symmetry and they have three layers in their body wall, that is ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. they come under the branch or grade that is Triploblastica. So Bilateria is again divided into three divisions: acoelomates, pseudocoelomates, and schizo or coelomates. So again, acoelomates are those animals or organisms that do not have coelom at all. Pseudocoelomates have a false coelom, wherein the true coelom is restricted only to their what do you call it? Their genital area, in fact. So pseudocoelomata. Phylum is Aschelminthus. And then you have the true coelom or the eucoelom, coelomata. That is, they have the true coelom. So body is again divided into ecto, endo, and mesoderms in this. So all the animal kingdom and phyla that are present are included into only one of these three divisions. So again, brief classification, if you see, you can see this over here. This is how it is. Whereas phylum Porifera, phylum Cnidaria or coelenterate, then phylum Platyhelminthes, then you have rotifers also in this. And then you have an phylum Nemata, Brachiopoda. Then you have phylum Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Onychophora, Echinodermates in coeloms, and even phylum Chordata. These are different phyla, even phylum Chordata. In phylum Chordata, you have a subphylum which is Vertebrata. You also have protocods. So certain division is there in that. You can learn it in later. But when it comes to subphylum Vertebrata, you have class Agnatha, Gnathostomata, Acanthodi, then class Placoderm, class Chondrictus, Ostrictus. These are the fishes. Then class Amphibia, that is your frogs, toads family, salamanders, frogs, toads. Class Reptilia, class Aves, reptiles, again. Aves, the birds, all the birds. And then the class Mammals. Again, you have a lot of, orders in mammals again. So this is all about your, a lesson which is, introduction to the animal kingdom. So to summarize, you know that zoology is the science of animals. Greek, Roman, European scientists contributed a lot to the development. There are quite a lot of branches in zoology, and this is again based on the different life forms, the functions, the developments. Study of zoology is necessary for us to understand the animal world. And there are quite a lot of uses again according to that itself. Again, animal kingdom is based or divided into two groups based on the cellularity function, that is unicellular or multicellular. Unicellular group has only one branch, that is the protozoans. Multicellular again is divided based on their cellular organization into vertebrates or invertebrates. So this is all about your first topic, that is introduction to animal kingdom. All right. So I'm going to end the class today over here. Tomorrow we will be dealing with the second unit, which is Protozoa, basic general characteristics and the classification. And then you're going to study about Elphidium and the protozoan diseases. Okay. So I'm going to end the class right now. And thank you so much. I hope all of you have understood. If you have any doubts, you can always ask.
Ma'am, any
Okay,
important
ma'am.
questions, ma'am?
Sorry?
Important questions, ma'am.
Regarding the important questions, I would request you all to find out with your, whomever you're in touch with at the university level. It can be Kishore sir or whoever your academic coordinator at this university. All right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay,
Alright.
ma'am. Thank you.
So yes. So thank you so much again. I hope you've all understood. Yeah. I'm going to end the session. Bye. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
End the session. The host has to end the session. Trying to see, I can only leave the meeting. Very easy. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.